but we're not at all considering a confederacy. Well, at least not as far as I know. Are we, Mr. Lee?
Well, there have been a number of proposals put forth for Philadelphia. The first by the good doctor, Dr. Franklin, which did call for a very strong central authority, a federal head, if you will. And I'm happy to report that it made no headway at all.
Good.
But similarly, Mr. Dickinson intends, when I return, to offer another proposal. And gentlemen, it becomes more difficult to resist such proposals as our war grows. For there are many who are saying that there is a great necessity of a strong central authority given that we are at war. But as per the instructions that you gentlemen have given me, I will not agree to any such notion that there should be any confederacy other than for the common defense as well as trade and commercial interests.
Here.
And sir, as to your notion as to whether we could withdraw from any such confederacy, by the nature of Virginia having declared herself independent, we have already stated, I think quite clearly, that we believe in that right. And should the men in Philadelphia see fit to create a government that we wish not to be a part of it, I can assure you Virginia will withdraw and will be no part of it whatever.
And if I might expand upon that, there are two central difficulties with putting a strong confederacy of our former colonies, God willing, will be former. First is the fact that you can't have men in New England judging what is best for men in Virginia. No more than you could have men in Georgia judging what is best in New York. We are independent in and of ourselves. We always have been. Yes, under the same coverage of the crown, but always independent of one another. Secondly, you get that many people, what are there, some 3 million of people that live in this part of the American continent, and such a small, relatively small number of men keeping it? No. That would require that you increase the size of the government, wouldn't it? You would have to create levels upon levels of bureaucracy that one must go through just to keep the most basic of your rights. No. Leave it small, leave it decent. The bigger the government, the easier it is for them to damage their people, as we have experienced already.
Here.
If I may comment also, sir, in this regard, in Virginia itself, should there arise a question whether a particular county or a group of counties disagree with the government of Virginia, could they thereby attempt to remove themselves from the authority of the government of Virginia? I would point out in the 14th article of our Declaration of Rights that the people have a right to a uniform government, and therefore no government separate from or independent of the government of Virginia ought to be erected or established within the limits thereof. Yes, ma'am.
Two-part question. Who are your delegates then to the Continental Congress, and how are you going to get them word? Because I understand that your own Thomas Jefferson and Dr. Franklin are currently drafting a declaration and marking it up as we speak. So if you're going to vote against it, I guess Mr. Lee here is going to have to get on his horse quickly and get up there. So how are you going to get him some instructions, and who's representing you there, and what's going on? Because what I'm hearing here is you got days to vote up there. So what's going on here? Y'all have got Virginia under control, but how are you working with your delegates to the Congress?
How are we working with the delegates from the Congress? First of all, ma'am, let me say to you that it was Virginia's resolves that were taken to Philadelphia by Mr. Thomas Nelson, Jr., resolves for independence that were put in the hands of the Honorable Richard Henry Lee, and it was Mr. Lee of Virginia who made the motion on the floor of the Continental Congress for independence. Now, Mr. Lee, would you wish to speak to the matter?
Yes, ma'am. The Declaration of Independence that Mr. Jefferson and others labored on for many weeks does not see to the formation of any general government for these various colonies. It simply sees to their independency. And there was great disagreement concerning the wording of it. Indeed, I received not long ago 2 copies. The original draft of Mr. Jefferson's, largely his work, and then the one that were finally marked up by the Congress. And he's along with a small, well, for himself, a short note requesting my opinion as to which were the better, which seems to me rather foolish, would you agree? When has anyone ever offered any motion before any legislative body and had it survive the committee process without a single word having been changed? But I can assure you, madam, it does not in any way, shape, or form create a new form of government. It simply lays out our reasons for ending our association with Great Britain, and no more than that.